Okay, once again, I'm going to retell the story about money. So, his grandfather Antonio was a wealthy man, and he made a fortune by establishing a chain of movie theaters across America. He grew a small business into a multi-million dollar enterprise. He used to say that money doesn't grow on trees, and he taught his children and grandchildren the true value of money arising from hard work and ambition. He earned his millions all by himself, and he without winning the lottery or getting unexpected inheritance from a long lost uncle. He knew from his own experience what it was like living from paycheck to paycheck, or be so broke that you can't afford even a bus fare. That is why he was a reasonable spender, and he preferred investing money rather than wasting them on fancy boats and luxury cars that cost a fortune. He never threw money down the drain. Um, he was lucky to do what he loved, and he got rich by doing what he loved. Um, he worked hard and lived according to his principles. He was an honest man. He paid taxes and refused giving bribes. At the same time, he was a generous man, and he donated a considerable amount of money to build schools in poorest district. Even though he never got a college degree, he strongly believed in education, and he used to say that money spent on education is never wasted. He also established a charity fund providing grants and scholarships for students with poor backgrounds who were strapped for cash. He also made frequent donations to support immigrants with their business programs. He came to the United States 60 years ago, and as a fresh off the boat immigrant, he was as poor as a church mouse. He had to borrow money from his family, and they lent him as much as they could for him to be able to have this trip to the USA. His first years in America, he lived on a shoestring because the cost of the living was greater than in his hometown. He like most immigrants who came in the land of opportunity in search of fame or fortune, he took a series of low-paid jobs just to survive. He worked as a fast food cook and shop assistant. He had to pay off his debts, and he had to work day and night. So to make ends meet, he swept the floors in the nearby store, and worked as a security guard at the nightclub. Mm, these hard times taught him to respect people no matter what they are or what they do. Since then, he tipped waiters and barbers and cleaners and taxi drivers because he knew what it was like to be in need, and he had been in their shoes. Once he was out of debts, he started saving money, depositing it to his bank account, and around that time he met his future wife. He fell in love with her, but he was shy to approach to her, so he applied for a job in a movie theater where she worked to be able to see her more often. That was the time when he fell in love with the cinema. And eventually he got promoted from the cinema projectionist to the cinema manager, and in a few years he was running an entire movie theater. He bought an expensive diamond ring that cost him an arm and a leg, and proposed to the woman he loved, and soon they got married. Eventually, he could afford a car and a bigger apartment for his family. By the late 1980s, he saved up enough to start up his own business, and so he took out $50,000 and from his bank account, and in addition to that he cashed out his stocks and started his own business. But unfortunately, his first venture turned to be a failure because of lack of his experience and poor location choice. Everything went well, but then his business didn't make enough profit, and soon he went belly up. So he lost all his money, and he had to take a loan and sell his car to settle debts. But instead of feeling pity for himself, he decided to attend a special course, and a year later he had a proper business plan and raised enough capital to start again. He started looking for a sponsorship, and eventually he managed to find a few sponsors and had enough money to open another movie theater. Over the years, it grew into a chain of 60 locations in 34 states. On his 80th birthday, he decided to retire and go on a trip around the world, and he said that he had achieved everything he wanted. A couple of years later, he died, and his family inherited his business.